Chris Billy, Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Happy New Year and welcome to the Huddersfield Town Social, part of the Andy Takes That Chance network. The lads are finally back from holidays and you lucky people get to listen to us for the next hour. The crackers have been pulled, the hootenanny and fireworks watched, and the boys are ready to give their views on what's been a very busy festive period for Huddersfield Town. Port Vale and Northampton put to the sword, but draws against Lincoln and more so Exeter recently have typically left more questions than answers as to Town's promotion credentials under Lee Grant. The transfer window's now open for business, already with that 2 in and 2 out. Looks like Leo is unfortunately on his way as well. So where does that leave us going forward? And what do you think we should bring in if we're to have the best possible chance at promotion? For this evening's Town Social Soiree, I'll be your host as always, Nick Barlow, desperately trying to burn off the Christmas pounds prior to his mammoth pedal for pounds is Andy Kay, fresh from his Town media appearance on Inside Match Day, randomly shouting "Gooch!" It's Tristan Patel. I don't even think Gooch was there. I think he just liked shouting "Gooch" randomly. And flying the flag for Town over in sunny Nashville is Mr. Gaz K. How are you doing, guys? Happy New Year. Have you had a good one?
Yeah, mate. Yeah. Same to you.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, obviously, trust Town to piss on our parade with the last gas draw, but anyway, we'll get on to that. We'll get on to that in a minute. So, hi everybody, good to see you all again. Stephen Shepherd, good to see you, mate. Terrier Jack, as always. Dean Ball, James Murgatroyd. Happy New Year, guys. Brilliant to see you again. Back for more punishment, or should it be? I don't know. More counselling. I'm not sure, but guys, very quickly. Look, Port Vale and Northampton games. We're going to brush over these quick, so we've only got an hour. There were games that we should win, that we needed to win, and we won them. I mean, I don't think there's much more we can say other than 2 comprehensive performances before the tough game against Lincoln.
Yeah, well, they were routine wins, weren't they? I think we were on a bit of an hiding to nothing, really. I think if we were expected to win comfortably, and I thought they did, if they hadn't, then the world would have ended, wouldn't it? The bipolar meter would have shut off the end of the scale. And we'd have been demanding everybody get sacked, wouldn't we? But yeah, there were 2 routine wins, and of course, he managed to get all the Erminator out the door at Port Vale. So we probably did Port Vale a favour as well, by the sound of it.
Yeah. You never like to see anyone get sacked here, but I think that Port Vale team's the worst I've ever seen. So it didn't come as much of a surprise. I think we played the right teams at the right time for Lee Grant's predicament, didn't we? You know, Rotherham, dreadful form. We go and beat them, and then you've got Port Vale again, absolutely dreadful form, manager about to get sacked. Northampton slightly different, but still beatable. And I thought actually that was a professional kind of routine win, which we hadn't really seen many of them this season, unfortunately. And then we move on to Lincoln, which on paper obviously very tough. Second in the league, really good at home. The only team they've lost at home to is Exeter. Ironically, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but always going to be tough. And it was quite good for me because I sat in the home end. I got to see it from a bit of a different perspective. I didn't get my face smashed in, thankfully. I was in the little family section. I was right behind Lee Grant, so I got to see him standing doing nothing. So that was really entertaining. But I thought first half we got absolutely steamrolled. I thought Lincoln come out all energy, sort of typical League One football, but really effective. And I think we really struggled to get a grip of the game. Gaz, I'll leave it to you to describe that first half, mate. But I was a bit disappointed with Town start in this one, considering it was a big game, wasn't it?
Well, I think I'm going to probably go against what you said there a bit, Nick. I actually thought I've complained for a little while that we've not managed to earn the right to play in games. I think many times this season we thought we were too good. Bradford's a perfect example in it. We strung 20-30 passes together, looked really tiny on the ball, and then got absolutely fucking mullered. So, I think actually, in fairness to the Town team, I thought they were, I won't say they were outclassed, but, Lincoln looked a better team than us. But I think you have to give them credit. I thought they dug in. I thought they worked quite hard. I thought they tried to stop Lincoln playing. And although the first half, they were lucky not to be a couple down, sometimes you need a bit of luck, don't you? And I guess if you work hard, sometimes you get that bit of luck. So we're devoid of any quality, that's for sure. We created absolutely jack, that's for sure. But I thought that actually, for the first time, we looked like we were interested in getting involved and having a battle with a physical team. First time I've seen that this year. So yeah, it worked. There was no. You're absolutely bang on, Nick. There was no quality. There was no endeavour from Town. I didn't feel like there was any endeavour to get forward and score a goal. But I thought they did all right. But I guess we'll find out what the other two think. They're probably going to pretty disagree with me to make a point.
And I see what you're saying, Gaz, and it does take character to stick in it. But to me, barring some poor finishing, it could have. If we'd have gone in 2-0, I wouldn't have had any complaints at half time. They were by far the better side, and we've seen it too often, these slow starts, Andy, where Town in the first half they just don't get going. Now we've been punished before, we weren't then. But was that just down to Lincoln's poor finishing rather than Town's endeavour?
Yeah. 100%. Gaz is right. I will agree with Gaz, although I think it's my want in life to disagree with him most of the time. I think the centre halves, particularly Murray Wallace, was my man of the match for the Lincoln game. I think he ended everything away. That Draper lad up front for them is a physical handful, and we dropping elbows in left, right, and centre, and being a bit of a naughty lad, I thought. But we coped with it. But that's as much as we could do. And yeah, you're absolutely right as well, Nick. 2-0 down at half time, a couple of chances, particularly what was the lad, the number 7 on the left wing called Hackett. Yeah, he should have scored a couple of times to be fair. So 2-0 down wouldn't have been a bad reflection of that half. But second half they came out and they showed it a bit. Town remind me of my lads' old team in that sometimes they turn up and they'd just see how the other team played before they decided whether they were going to play or not. And I think that Town realised that if they didn't put a bit of a hard-working performance in, they were going to get paggered. So fair play to them. Lincoln played. Well, I thought it was ironic that they had the pitch covered for their next game against whoever they were playing, Peterborough, because they didn't bloody use it. But they play their way. They get it up front. They get it up quick. They get after it. They batter people, and they almost. It's excellent League One football, and you can see why they are where they are, because they all know what they're doing. They all know their jobs. Fair play to them. That's the way they want to play. But yeah, they should have been out of sight at half time, I thought, and fair play to the Town crowd for sticking with them, because they did. And then they came out second half and were a different kettle of fish, our lot. So again, maybe Mr. Grant's worked his magic at half time. I don't know, but I think the draw was a fair result overall.
Yeah, and Ryan Windles pointed it out here about the referee, and yeah, it wasn't great, was it? Let's be honest. I think Lincoln got away with a lot. Draper in particular, there was a lot of elbows, shoving, and Lincoln seemed to get the rub of it, I thought, particularly in that first half. I thought, if your referee sort of exerts themselves early, then that sort of... They were right on the edge, weren't they? And I think if the referee's a bit stronger, that doesn't happen. And I do think they got away with just a little bit too much, Lincoln. But I have to say, dare I say, League One Northern football, rather in the style, what you'd want Town to be, really, just all aggression and physicality and energy, which we didn't seem to have in that first half. But Tristan, second half, we crucially we're going level still, and we go into the second half and. I thought Lincoln again started decent, but Town had a spell, at least sort of 10, 15 minutes where they're getting to grips with things, they're starting to get into the game, and then Alfie May on that right-hand side has a short save, but when you've got a player with that experience, he knows what to do, doesn't panic, puts it over, and who's there? It's old Leo again, isn't it? And the away end goes into raptures, and at that point you're thinking, God, we might actually just win this.
Yeah, it was as the lads have said, it were a bit of a funny game, wasn't it? I actually didn't think. I agree completely with what's been said, but I actually didn't think. There was a fantastic save that Nichols made first half. The finishing was woeful, but it wasn't. There were obvious chances, were there? Do you know what I mean? It wasn't kind of quite like Alfie May's chance in the second half, you know, and so it were a bit of a funny one because you felt like they were on top, but I never thought, unlike Exeter last week, I thought Exeter were going to score every time they came forward. I didn't think Lincoln were, to some extent, you know. So, but no, it was good. A wonderful passing field from Harness, you know, and a great touch by Alfie May for the goal. Kind of turning the defender inside out. I kind of thought, why hadn't he just taken a normal touch? You know, why hadn't he just sort of knocked it? But it were actually really effective what he did, and obviously had a shot saved. But then probably the only lad in our team at this minute in time that would have had that composure to just dink it back across for Castledine. You know, and it were a bit of a shame, wasn't it, that then he couldn't finish it off with his second chance. I think we discussed it on the WhatsApp group. Wondered whether he could have gone with his left foot, perhaps. You know, it didn't seem to be coming down for his right foot, and that just gave the keeper that little bit of an opportunity to come out, didn't it? So, yeah. And then I guess their goal was just quite scrappy, wasn't it? It was frustrating. We grafted and grafted and grafted with opportunities like that coming at us, you know, all first half, and then we go and concede one like that. That said, I did think that Adam Reach had a good game. You know, I thought him and Durrick were on the two wing backs. I thought were two of their better players, and I quite like that lad in midfield, McGrandles or McGradles or something like that. I thought he was the type of player that you probably wouldn't, you know, quite busy, quite honest, like just consistent, probably a 7 out of 10 every week. But he just goes in and he does his job, and actually at this minute in time, it's exactly what we just want Ledson to be in it, you know. But he don't quite do this, don't quite do that for us at the minute.
Tell you what, I wouldn't mind the person picking Lincoln signings at Town, because they seem to sell players for big money and then buy players for peanuts, and they turn into better players than who they've sold. I thought Reach was brilliant. It'd been a brilliant signing for them. Unfortunately, a lot of the signings we've had from them, bar Toffolo, have struggled. But I just, guys, you were shaking your head, mate, at Lincoln's equaliser. You're not happy with it?
No, we've got this whole. I know Killer, who's our resident technical expert, we've gone about before. We have this thing where we go sort of half zonal, half man marking, and the goal comes because you've got Marcus Harness trying to mark Sonny Bradley. I mean, if you ever want a mismatch, there's a mismatch, yeah, and he just muscles Harness out of the way. Now gets a toe to it to bobble it back across. There's a shot blocked on the line, and then, I mean, Reach is always going to put it away from 3 yards out. But it came as well from that, you know, the referee gave a free kick to them.
Free kick.
Yeah. I mean, we're never a free kick in a million years.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
We had two chances to deal with it, and we didn't. We gave away a sloppy corner because we didn't deal with it, and then we could see from a sloppy corner. And that's the thing that pisses me off, because, as you said, Tris, we seem to have to work so hard to score any kind of goal, yet we give away such soft goals. But I mean, like, you know, at the end of the game, I'm with you, Andy. I think a draw was a fair result, but it's a disappointing equaliser. And I know we'll talk about Exeter in a minute. And I'm a bit torn on what Grant did late in the game, because on 80 minutes he took Castledine off a Wankasuma one, and for the first time probably ever, he's shown a bit of tactical nous and thought, you know, there's a point here for the taking. We're away at Lincoln. Let's not do out stupid. Let's take a point up the road. You know, we've won the last two games. Take a point up the road. And had we beaten Exeter, you would have been saying that was excellent. However, I did feel like the game was there for the winning. Lincoln ironically started to run out of steam, ran out of ideas. They took a couple of their key guys off because obviously they didn't want to play them the full game. And I actually think if there was an opportunity to just wang Asher on or do something just to make it different. And his choice was, no, I'm going to go with Kasumu and I'm going to keep it tight. So, after the game, although I was disappointed at the time, actually in the cold light of day the next morning, I'm thinking, well, actually, Lincoln are flying, as you said, they're everything, they're everything you want, you need to be in League One to win games. We've gone away, we've ridden the storm, scored a really good goal. Letting a goal, which you're going to, if you're never going to let in a goal against Lincoln, nobody's going to get the ball at Lincoln, run 60 yards, smash it in top corner, are they? So, you've taken a good point against a promotion rival, happy days. But for that to be a fact, you then got to go on and beat Exeter, which of course we didn't manage to do. So it felt like the game was there for the winning, but it was hard to criticise him not doing that because I can see why he did it. Taking a point from Lincoln, I know some town fans will be going absolutely fucking mental now when we're talking about we should be beating Lincoln. I thought it was a good point in the end, but would have been made better by a victory against Exeter.
Do you know what, Gaz? I think what felt good about it was that they clearly have an identity and clearly know exactly how they want to play, and they were putting long balls to big, strong, athletic lads that if they didn't pick them up, they absolutely won that second ball, and you could see it. You could see it, and you're quite right that then the frustrating part was we seemed to weather that storm sufficient enough to have an opportunity of about 15 minutes where even at 1-1 we could have gone and won the game and we didn't. And that's probably going to be the synopsis of the season, isn't it? Is we've had opportunities in games and we just haven't gone and won them.
No.
Yeah, I saw quite a bit of feedback from fans, conflicted. Some saying it's a good point. Some were disappointed, saying he's too negative. We were there. I think the game hinged on that May chance. If May scores that, we go and win the game. Unfortunately, they get a goal relatively soon after. And when the home side's got a goal, the momentum swings. And I think Town did well to manage it in the end to get the point. It's not a bad point, but like you say, guys, you've got to follow it up with a win. That's what the top teams do. And it's what Lincoln did, wasn't it? In what effectively is a derby game for them against Peterborough, who are top of the form table. They go and smash them 5-2, and that's the difference between them and us right now. As we move on to Exeter at home, and I thought the first half was okay. Harness obviously scores first. It comes from Town's left, doesn't it? I think it's May into Castledine, and then he puts it into Arness, and it's a nice little turn and a decent shot into the bottom corner. Debate whether maybe keeper could have done a bit better with it, but I think it's a good shot. And at that point, early, things are looking good, aren't they? And I was thinking at that time, this is probably going to be a routine win, this. Obviously, it didn't work out like that.
No, I thought the goal, to be honest, came against a bit of run of play. I thought Exeter started really well, and what was it? Is it Cole, the number 2? I think he's the one that scored.
Cole, yeah.
I'm not a tactician genius like Killer, but the guy was finding acres of space. Number 12, he was a really clever player, and what they were doing, they were doubling up down the side, so it was really easy. They were putting the ball into the wide man. 2 men were going out to them. They'd roll it back to the full back, who then just took one touch and played it straight inside to Cole, who was in acres. They must have done it 6 or 8 times before eventually we tried to change the shape. So the goal sort of came against a bit of run of play for me, but I'm with you. It was a lovely. That keeper there, who they were all raving about, I thought he looked a bit dodgy on the day. By the way, because he was also on loan from Crystal Palace as well, wasn't he? I think he's an Oppo Goodman's, and they've been raving about him. And in fact, Exeter were in good form. They've won 4 out of the last 6, and they've beaten Luton on New Year's Day, haven't they? So they were in okay form, but they've been in and around the relegation zone until 5 or 6 games ago. So they're not world beaters. And I'm with you. Once you go 1-0 up at home, you've weathered a bit of weathered the storm. We've changed the shape to cope with what with their best players. From there, we should be building on that and trying to go and win the game, but it never felt like that. It never felt like we were going to say, right, let's, as we did with Vale, let's get a quick second, let's get a third and put this game to bed. It never felt like we were ready for that.
Feathers McGraw, Jed Robinson, Darren, Morley, Happy New Year, guys. Good to see you. As always, positive beginning to 2026, 7-game unbeaten run, Jed. I like your optimism, mate. We'll take that. James Murgatroyd saying we miss a horrible player for games like Lincoln, and I don't disagree, mate. I think we are missing some nastiness in this side, but we'll get onto that when we talk about the transfer window and what we need. And typical Town, we've got this unfortunate habit of conceding in the next sort of 5-10 minutes after we've scored, and we just kind of switch off, don't we? Exeter come in from the left side and Kasumu's daydreaming somewhere. I don't think he realises what's going on. Arnis switches off. It goes to Reece Court, and it's a brilliant finish. He levers it into top corner. Nichols has no chance, really, but how much space has he got? If you give a player that amount of space, they're going to have a pop, aren't they? And yeah, yep. It's a great finish. I'm not knocking the finishes. But how is he allowed to have so much space on edge at box? It's baffling.
Well, it's because we've switched off, isn't it? And because I've still got this feeling that there's an element of we're Huddersfield Town, we just need to rock up. And I think that Exeter game felt a bit to me like, we just need to rock up. When we went 2-1 up with Bojan, love heart, you love that, our kid. When he scored 2-1 going into half time, and I think the whole ground thought, well, that's it, that's sorted. We'll romp away second half. We didn't, and I've come to a conclusion with Grant based on these Exeter and Lincoln results that he can achieve as any of a result like Lincoln, but sadly, that par for the course, he's beating the poor teams or pulling off draws when we should be getting wins, and I just don't know what else he can do, because I think he's reached the limit of what he can get out of that team now. Whether he changes it a lot, we've had some ins and outs this afternoon, haven't we? I just fear for us because the lack of intensity, particularly for both Exeter goals, excellent as they were, that's just they're just off it. And it was put in there with James Murgatroyd. We miss an horrible player for games like that. We absolutely do miss somebody who can just get the rest of the team flying and making those half yards and blocking the crosses and putting the tackles in. But we just don't seem to have that edge to us. We need a bastard, and we haven't got an element of bastard about us. And it's League One, and for me, we need to be a bit more like the Northamptons. Although as much as I hated that game, the anti-football, and the way that Lincoln play, we just seem to think that skill will win out, and I don't think it will. I don't think it does in League One. So I was frustrated by the end of the Exeter game, as you can probably tell.
I think, to be honest, but for Nichols, by the way, it'd have been 2-2 at half time.
Oh, we should have lost
a
it,
chance immediately after we scored, and but for an absolutely brilliant save with Nicholl by his feet, because I think it was a great save because he didn't see it. Would have been 2-2 at half time anyway. So we were lucky to go in 2-1 at half time. Sorry, Trace.
No, I was just going to say, do you think it is? Do you think it is that horrible type that we need? To some extent, I was watching Forest and West Ham the other day, and Forest looked like they were ever going to be in the game, and then all of a sudden they find themselves 2-1 up, and Dyche has this ability to just get them to see out a game, and it's not with any, that Forest team don't have any horrible bastards in it. It just has some professionals in it that know how to see out a game. Someone like Gibbs White that just gets on a ball and dictates it a bit. You're looking at someone like Max Harness that's experienced, that has the ability on the ball. Alfie May as another one. Go down, draw a tackle, go down, take a couple of seconds, just completely take the sting out of the game, and we don't have that. We're not doing that at the minute. And then the other thing, I think, and bear with me on this because it's a bit rogue. There's a part of me that wonders, and you're like this, Andy, because you're into all this kind of stuff. Is
What are you going to say?
I hope it's not fucking cricket again.
No,
Proper game.
it's like this. It's like this new kind of mentality within like work environments of like agile working and all this kind of stuff, and how you try and instill kind of like you sort of trying to empower your staff to go out, and you're giving them the knowledge, you're giving them the rope as such. And I absolutely believe with his group and his, all this kind of stuff, that is the way that Lee Grant manages. I genuinely do not believe that he's he's not an Alex Ferguson. He's not a, he's, to some extent, I don't think he's any kind of tactician to some extent. I think he gives them as individuals the ability to try and go out and win the game themselves. What I think is where it falls down is that those individuals just, I'm not certain they've ever been probably managed that way, and I'm not certain that they're used to being told in every inch of their life, do this, do this, do this, do this, and when they're given that freedom to go out and go and deliver this, I'm not certain that they know how to do it. People look lost. Like, hand on heart, at the start of this season when we signed Ledson, I was like, go on, we've got a real hard nut here. We've people are saying this season that we need a Hoggy back, which is ironic because last season they were saying they couldn't wait to get rid of Hoggy. But someone like Ledson, when he was at Preston, he absolutely was that player that just ran in and clattered people. Absolutely clattered people. I honestly cannot say that I've seen him do that this year.
No.
So it I don't know. They just look like they don't have any idea. They look like they're taking free kicks and they're looking to the bench. I don't know. It just looks like there's something there that they're just lacking in direction, or like we've said about Lincoln, and they looked like they had an idea. I can't honestly say I know what Grant wants
what
them
our
to do.
style is. What do we do? Yeah.
And I think that's because he says to them, go out and be better than the other team. Or, as daft as it sounds, go out and be better than the other team. And they're a bit like, well, if you look at someone like Joe Taylor, right? He's out of the team at this minute in time. He's our fans understandably have kind of cast a shadow over him. They don't think he's effectively a failure at this minute in time. He's a lad that wants to play with a striker, with a strike partner. He's a lad that wants early passes to him, that is allowed to run at people and attack space. Can I honestly say that we've set him up to do that? We haven't, have we? And I just don't think any of them look like Alfie May. Another one, scored goals for fun for the last 3 years. We're not playing to any kind of strength of his. So I just feel like there's something. Grant seems to. He never seems to. I think Killer was saying it the other day. He never seems to take responsibility because he seems to have passed that responsibility onto the players almost. I don't know. Maybe it's crazy crackpot theory, but
I think there's an element of, he wants them to have the corporate values, group values, the leadership team, and grasp some nettles and all that type of stuff, which I'm well into, all that type of stuff. But there comes a time when he's got to make it simple for what he expects the players to do, and that's always been my complaint about him. He's a very detailed man. His answers to his press conferences are very, very detailed. That's the only time we see him. And I just worry that the messages and he said this himself, that he's got the messaging wrong previously. and this is not the first time that we've sat back in a second half. Bolton game, we sat back and we got what we deserved. This one, we sat back and got what we deserved. I wonder and I worry that he's overcomplicating matters by maybe too much direction and not enough of just keeping it simple. And yes, express yourself within the parameters of you do this, you do that. And that's what Lincoln did. They did things simply, they did things quickly, and they did things physically. And we, whatever we do slowly most of the time. And that, like I said, I can't see the style of play. I thought when we went to 3-5-2, you could start to see some channel balls and getting after it with the front two. That seems to have sort of dissipated again now, and it certainly did against Exeter for me. I just think he overcomplicates it, and that's my worry with him.
I know I'm comparing, I'm using probably one of the best managers there's ever been, but there's a video going around at the minute of Gary Neville interviewing Sir Alex Ferguson, and it's about a minute and a half long, and he says, what's point in being 1-0 down and keeping 4 at the back? And it seems so simple, doesn't it? And quite right, you know, it seems to overcomplicate everything when sometimes it is just that simple of, could you stick Joe Lowe, Murray Wallace up front and, you know, and push people forward and just do something a bit different?
We're 1-0 down, we have 5 at the back. Passing it across in a line, back and forth for about 10 minutes while crowd go berserk. Right, let's wrap Exeter up then. Bojan, mate, gets his goal. Gaz, is it New Year, new Gaz? Because Bojan, that's 12 goals and assists now for Bojan. Joint top with Castledine. He's averaging a goal or an assist every game. Has your opinion changed, Gaz, or do you still think that he's masquerading?
It has to have changed. I would defy anybody to tell me 3 months ago, if anybody can honestly say they saw that coming 3 months ago, I'll call them a liar.
Check our WhatsApp group. Yeah, but check my video from the Greater Firth game. I was 8 pints deep and I called it.
Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, of course you did, Andy.
I did. The evidence is there.
That lad would have gone in the summer. If somebody had attacked him, he wouldn't be here. We all know that.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Yeah. He didn't want to be here, and he is here. So you have to give him credit. You know, credit where credit's due. He's clearly knuckled down. He's worked his way into Grant's plans. And I said at the time, I think the reality is it was like some of the formation stuff with Grant. He's got in the team almost by accident. But he's taken his chance. So, yeah, you have to give the lad credit, don't you? I still don't think it. People keep saying he's a big striker. He's still a fanny. He goes down at the slightest push.
He's not a physical. He's not.
He's not. And I saw somebody say the other day, he's learned to push people back. No, he hasn't. He tries to push him, and if the ref don't catch him, he's absolutely fine. But you know, I think what he does deserve credit for. He's suddenly finding himself in the right position. And I think before, when he had no confidence, that goal he scored against Exeter, he was Johnny on the spot, wasn't he? Yeah. 2 yard out for a tapping. That wasn't the Bojan we've seen in the last 2 years. And and I would add, by the way, we paid him 2 years salary for absolutely jack shit. So it was about time he paid us something back. But I think the guy is he nominated for League One Player of the Month as well. So I've never seen a more remarkable turnaround for any player in a Huddersfield Town squad or team ever. I'm struggling to think of anybody. The guy's still not great. I'm still not a fan. He's not going to win me over particularly, but you cannot criticise his output for the team at the minute. I mean, the lad was a goner in the summer, so you have to admire him and take your hat off to him, don't you? For that,
yeah. I think with that positioning as well, Gaz, it's the positioning that he takes as well when receiving the ball that he's not having to try and wrestle players now. He's managing to get a touch on the ball before someone's onto him, and then he lays it off. So yeah.
Can I also say I think playing alongside Alfie May makes a big difference for him because every League One defender shits himself when Alfie May gets the ball, and his work rate and his pressing and closing is giving Bojan time. When we played the other way, Bojan was up against 2 centre halves. He was never going to score any goals like that. But you playing alongside somebody like Alfie May, and it probably inspires him. You know, probably enjoys. I would imagine he enjoys playing with Alfie. Alfie's vocal will be giving him encouragement constantly. He'll be trying to get him into the game. So, you know, he's also benefited from playing alongside probably the best League One striker we've had in a long time, even though he's the one that's benefited from the goals.
Mm. But then it's Huddersfield Town, innit? And it wouldn't be Huddersfield Town without conceding late in the game and making everyone miserable. And unfortunately, Sorensen on the left. I'm not sure. I'm not a fan, to say the least. Sorensen on the left-hand side. Niskanen, I think, had the keys to Huddersfield. He had that much free space down that right-hand side. And eventually, you know, you throw 50,000 darts at a board, one's going to hit a bullseye and puts the ball in. It's a brilliant finish, backheel finish, but again, the ball should never have got to there in the first place. You're seeing the game out. You just take the guy out. You do anything to stop that ball coming in, and Sorensen just lets him put it in. It's terrible defending at that stage of the game, and it just sapped the energy out of everything, didn't it? I mean, the whole second half was awful from a Town perspective. It was so negative. Grant's substitutions, I thought, were terrible. Ben Wiles offered nothing when he came on. You've got Will Alls there. I'm a firm believer that you defend from the front. And if you bring someone like Alls on, it makes them think, oh, actually, maybe we should leave the man back. But there were absolutely no reason for them to not just keep pushing forward. And it seemed inevitable that a goal would come, and it duly did, didn't it?
It was a crap goal. Another crap goal. The finish, by the way, absolutely out of the top draw. It's better than, in my opinion, it's better than the other goal.
Yeah.
I mean, his touch, his finish, his little flick is absolutely class in it. But that Niskanen had the freedom of that, and so all after that, the second half, he just kept running and running. Not once did we pick him up. And I with you, Wiles, and I know Killer and he had to stick up for him to tell us he does things nobody else does. But he fucking. It was pathetic. He didn't even try and tackle the guy, did he? And the number of times he got overloaded was ridiculous. So, you know, I guess if you're an Exeter fan, you'll be saying that's just desserts, really. A point is the least they deserved out of the afternoon. And it probably was. A point was probably about right in the context of the game, trying to look at it coldly. But it's a game, like I said, when you're taking a really good point at Lincoln, it's a game then you've got to go and win at home against a team in good form, because that's what teams who get promoted would do. And we didn't.
To be fair to Wiles, he does do things that other people don't do, in that he's gone to deliberately go and live in Milton Keynes. Nobody else would do that.
He won't be living in MK, mate, will he? He'll be living in a nice outside, won't he?
That nice little village outside. So
I've just had an email in from the Milton Keynes podcast MK1 asking if we want a transfer killer.
How much would we get for him? Or would we'd have to pay them? We'd have to pay them.
Yeah. He's setting up Vegan Ice Cream Milton Keynes Limited now as we speak.
Yeah, why not?
He'll be in tears now. Wiles has gone. It's a bad day for Ian.
He's sat in his garage, rocking backwards and forwards. Bless him.
I've asked this question before. I'm going to ask it again. Is Lee Grant the right man to take us forward, do you think? Because his game management for me in the Lincoln game was okay. But Exeter second half, I wasn't impressed. Fans are still on the fence. Some have made their mind up weeks ago that Lee Grant's not the right man. Others are saying, look, we've had an half-decent run, 7 unbeaten, give him more time. Where do you guys stand on it?
His results are earning him that time at the minute because we are 7 unbeaten. But he's got to get to a point. If he's going to be the guy that's going to get us somewhere, we've got to be all the teams that we've got due to come to us that are in the top 6 with us. We've got to beat them all at home. That's where we've lost 8 times in the season already. We can't afford to lose many more if we're going to target even the playoffs. And he's got to start pulling results out and better than the zenith for me of the Lincoln 1-1 away. That's his best result. That for me. So he's got to beat Bradford. We've got to beat Cardiff. We've got to beat Luton. We've got to beat whoever else is Lincoln that have got to come to us. And without doing that, then I don't think we get in the playoffs. Because for me, 4th is absolutely a false position. Because of the number of games in hand and how far the top 3 are away from us, we are completely in a false position in 4th place. And it wouldn't surprise me if teams win their games up and we drop back out of the playoffs. So he's got no choice other than to defeat these teams that are around us. Because if he doesn't, he ain't the man. If he does, it's like he keeps it rolling on. I can't think of an analogy to go with it, but he just keeps pulling himself out of the fire with a decent result. But he's getting to a point now where if he puts 2 or 3 bad results together, particularly in this month that's coming up now, this month will define him because we've got 8 games. Yeah. If he comes out of this with a decent haul of points, then yeah. If he doesn't, I'm sorry, that would be the end of it for me. And you know me, I was a Grantling. I was on the bus, big style. I got the signed T-shirt, everything. I've changed my mind, as you guys know. I've changed my mind. He's got to keep pulling the results out.
Yeah, well, if you're on the outside looking in, if you're not an Huddersfield Town fan, you'd be looking at going, "We're 4th. What's the beef?" But we're top of the rest because the top 3 now are really starting to streak away.
Yeah,
really starting to streak away. So we're the top of the rest. Is it 8? You say we lost 8 games, Andy? Is it so far? 8
games, 8 league games, yeah.
Because I'm a dullard, I had a quick look, and last year, 3 out of the 4 teams in the playoffs only lost 10. Leyton Orient lost 16, so they're a real outlier. Previous year, no team lost more than 12 in the playoffs. So we're not a million miles away from not finishing in the playoffs. On the flip side of that, we're not a million miles away of being comfortable in the playoffs. But we can't keep sacking managers in the answer. So if we hadn't sacked 7 managers in the last 7 years, I'd be saying get him out the fucking door. But I just think we can't keep sacking managers, paying them off, spending millions on it, and then expecting a new bloke to come in and Kev then to stick his hand in his pocket and sign 6, 8, 10 new players for the new bloke to play that he wants to play. It has to, and whilst he is in the playoff, I'm with you, and his results is keeping him in a job. Because I think if we were now 8th, 10th, I think it'd have already gone. I think it'd have been a goner in January to give us a chance to change it. But I think Grant's in a job till the end of the season now. They hit the run over the 7-game unbeaten runs, bought in the time he's going to need to get him out of January. And Kev's already experienced the mistake of sacking people late in the season. Didn't work for him twice, so I don't think he'll do it again, do you? So, is he the man for the... I haven't really answered your question, Nick, have I? Is he the man for the job? He's the man we've got. I actually think the squad is good enough to get us in the playoffs, irrelevant of who's in fucking charge. Whether Grant's in charge or I'm in charge, they're going to get in the playoffs, that squad. My worry is in a game he has to win, like the last 2 games, he don't win them. So how we get out of the playoffs into a playoff final, and then how we win a playoff final to get into the championship with that kind of mentality and output, I don't really know.
This time before the Lincoln game, this time last year, 24 games in, we were on 46 points. So we're 8 points behind where we were last year. And 10 games after that, so 34 games in last season, we only got another 12 points. So I think you're completely right, Andy. This month is massive, isn't it? That's the long and the short of it. And that's where if we're going to do anything, he has to perform better than what Duff did last year. Just interestingly, and interestingly on what kind of Gaz has just said there, Wrexham, I think, were 3rd above us last year at this point on 48 points. That's what Cardiff are on at this minute in time. So that gives you an idea of how good the league is as well. Birmingham, I think, were 8 points ahead of that. Wycombe were a couple of points ahead of Wrexham. So if there's ever a time to get out of this league, it's now. It's this season, and with the in theory with the team that we've got, we absolutely should be that team getting out of the league this season. So I think for me, Grant's struggling at the minute. Obviously he's on a decent run in the last 7 games, but he's on thin ice in the sense of we're not performing as well as we did last year at this point, and we've got a better team. And the league's arguably not as strong.
Yeah.
So, I think January defines it. I know we're going to go on to it, but I'd say also we've relied in the last 10 games or so on Castledyne's purple patch, haven't we? You know, and obviously it's nailed on that he's going up to Borough. You know, we've got to replace that ultimately.
Yeah.
I keep refreshing HDFC and WhatsApp, but nothing's come through about him yet. I mean, it's been buzzing a bit today, I think, with a 2 in and a 2 out. So maybe they are trying to make some moves. I mean, both those outs are the right things to happen. You know, I think Wiles had his time, and it was time for him to go. And obviously, Goodman was never going to play, so it's the right thing for both of those players to move on. The 2 lads that have come in, I don't know anything about the keeper, and the other guy I had heard of a little bit, but an Ipswich fan seemed to be sort of mildly enthusiastic about him from what Gaz was saying. So you never know, but it looks like his Castledyne's on his way, doesn't it? So just be grateful it happened. Not sad that it's over.
I think he was quite handy in. I think he was quite handy in the game at their place last season against us. I think he looked half decent. Can't remember him at home.
Yeah, I do actually, because when they announced it, I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is. So Connor lives down there, so one of his mates who's an Ipswich season ticket holder sent him a text saying he's been in and out of the squad for years. He was with them when they were in League One. He's always been loaned out and done well at Wickham last year, and they wanted him again this season. And although I was taking the piss and saying he sounds like the Ipswich Scott High, so is that what we brought in? And actually, in fairness to him, it turns out my latest update is that last year he was Supporters Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year, and Player of the Year at Wickham in a team that had
Player of the Year, guys. He wasn't Player of the Year. That Coney was Player of the Year, but he was Supporters Player, and
nobody was. So you know, and that's the team that had Coney in it. So I guess that you would have expected him to clean up. So he's clearly got something about him, and it's nice that Grant's clearly using his connections to get that lad through the door. The fact that he also knows that club very well. And if Wickham tried to get him again, it's interesting. I wonder why he didn't go to Wickham. I'm wondering whether they tried to hold out for a championship club in the summer for him to try and develop him and never managed to get one. But on the face of it,
they were after him. They were after him now, Gaz. They were after him in January.
Yeah, so, and he looks and sounds like a Castledine replacement. Straight replacement for Castledine.
Yeah, he does.
So, I mean, it's a bit of a damning indictment with all the players we've signed and all the money we've spent. People are saying our season's over because a 20-year-old kid we borrowed from Chelsea's left.
I'm going to be outrageous now, really outrageous.
Yes,
I thought he went missing in so many games, and in the last 10 games since that absolute worldie of a free kick at Luton, he's gone on a run of 10 games, scored 8 goals and got 1 assist or something. Before that,
I agree with that, actually. He was anonymous for a large proportion of those initial games. I think he'll struggle in Championship. He's a good finisher, but you need more physicality, and I do wonder how he'll do. I think it might be a bit early for him, Championship. I think it would have probably been better for him to have stayed here for the season, got some more goals, more confidence, just a bit more experience in playing a bit more rough and ready football. But it's not something we're in control of. Will we miss him? Absolutely. With his goals and assists, you can't not. But this lad looks like a decent replacement. I don't think he's terrible. So, and there's more. It's not scoring goals that's a problem for Town. It's conceding them that's a problem. We're the top scorers in the league, but we leak goals like a sieve. So if I was looking in January of where to strengthen, personally, I'd be looking at centre midfield for a leader, someone who, like we've talked about, who can just smash people, try and take some control in that midfield, and maybe try and add something to the defence, because we just concede too many goals.
Yeah, that down that left-hand side we do as well. Ruskin for me is a wing-back, he's not a full-back. If you're playing Sorensen out there, you've got a problem. Nickel Miller, apparently he's back on the grass, but
for now,
4 games, he'll be out again, won't he? So, I'm not sure. I'm with you. I'd like somebody at the left-hand side of the defence, whether that's a left-back or a left wing-back. Somebody a proper defender who's a proper left-footer. Gooch has done okay when he played there, but it's not really the answer, is it? I want Gooch playing on the right-hand side where he can affect the game really well. But you're right about it. It's interesting to say that about Leo, because I said more or less a similar thing to Connor. But as I said before, I can see why somebody would want to say. I can see what people see in him. If you're a Chelsea I can see what they're saying. But I'm with you, Nick. He's not. You looked at Levi Colwill, and you could see him slowly right to Chelsea's first team. That lad's a million miles off Chelsea's first team.
Yeah, you can absolutely see why he's 1 million, 2 million. Not what people are getting giddy about and thinking that it should be 4, 5, 6, 7 million. He's had a purple patch of about 10 games where he's been decent. Interestingly as well, and I don't really know where I'm going with it, but this Humphries is left-footed, which I don't feel like we've got that many players in team that are left-footed, and whether he will slot into that kind of right channel where Leo has played and and cut in and stuff. I think a lot of he got quite a few assists last season. A lot of his assists are kind of whipping balls in off the angle of the box, for headers, which we're not obviously blessed with many players that go in headers, but that's kind of where he seemed to operate last year. So it is quite interesting that probably is where he's going to play on the wing where Leo has played.
Both transfers look sensible to me. I know we've got Chapman, but this experienced keeper backup. There's nothing wrong with that. Owen Goodman won't get any game time, so it's understandable that he goes back. And I think, Humphries will slot in. I think he'll do a decent job. Let's hope he don't get injured, because let's hope the Huddersfield Town curse doesn't strike. But he looks like a good replacement. So,
put a disclaimer in there now, Nick. He played 42 games in the league for Wickham last season. So
Rowan played every game for Lincoln, mate, and then he came to us. And how long did he last? 20 minutes.
That's what I mean.
Before he got in.
Injury prone.
Yeah, yeah. But who else do we? Because Joe Taylor, guys, not featuring at all. I saw somewhere, he might be being linked with a loan out somewhere, but I mean, he's not getting game time. The problem is, we paid a ton of money for him. He'll be on good wages, and he's contracted till 2029. So, what do we do with Joe Taylor? Do we keep him? Hopefully, he works hard. Like Bojan gets back in the side. Does he want to be here? Has there been a fallout? Why is he not even on the bench? It's all a bit weird, isn't it?
I'd far rather have Taylor in the squad than Charles, and I appreciate Charles had a bit of a purple patch, but if they were running through on goal, the pair of them, I'd absolutely back Taylor 100 times out of 100 over Charles. So for me, Charles is quite similar in some respects to the way that Alfie May plays. He gives you quite a bit off the ball. I don't think he's as good. Obviously, he's not as good a finisher as May, but Taylor for me gives you something different. We're talking about seeing games out. The lad could stretch a game so easily in the last 20, 30 minutes, something like that, against, particularly at home on a big pitch, and we don't utilize it. We don't utilize it at all. So for me, the only way that we do anything with Taylor is if we try and play a little bit more to his strengths.
It depends whether Chris Markham decided he isn't what we thought we bought, because we're going to take a bath. Whatever happens here, Kev's taking a bath. If we sell him, we ain't getting back what we paid for him. No way. If we sell him, we're going to have to pay his contract up, because nobody's going to pay him what we pay him. Send him out on loan, it's unlikely we're going to get all of his wages covered. Whichever way you turn with this, it's really not appealing, is it? And I do wonder I was wondering whether it hung on Redmond's fitness, because if Zapanaya Redmond is fit, then you've got your fourth striker, haven't you, in the squad if you need to play. He can play through the middle. So you probably at that point would let Taylor go. But who's going to take Taylor? It's only going to be a top-end League One team. Nobody in Championship wants him. So you're then lending him you're loaning him to a club that potentially could be a promotion rival. But it depends it all depends on the deal, doesn't it? If there's a deal that they get promoted, they take him and pay us reasonable money. yeah, maybe it'll happen. But I don't think we'll see many more in, and I don't think we'll see many more out. But I think Taylor is probably the one that probably could be moved. I was surprised at the Wiles one initially, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, Jed says he's rumoured to be on 10 grand a week. I wouldn't surprise me if it's more than that, Jed. He'll be one of the top paid players. And as you said, Nick, he's on a 5-year deal.
Yeah, it's a real problem. Harry says Stevenage want him. We can't give him to a potential playoff rival, surely. We can't do that. That would be madness. But as you say, guys, rightly, who else is taking him with them kind of wages and fee? It's catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah. I think if it were me, I'd be waiting till the summer and then taking a bath on him. Unless I can get somebody to take him now for, 7 figures plus. But if somebody's only paying 1 to 1.5 million for Castledine, there's no way Henry's going to give us 7 figures for that bloke. No way.
That's in a window where Sorba Thomas has been linked with £20 million moves. Do you know what I mean? That's how crazy it is, and he wouldn't command £1 million in this market, would he? So no. Stephen Shep says 2 million. I don't know what you're drinking, mate, but I'll have some of that.
It's usually terps, is what Steve
said. There's no way we're getting 2 million for Taylor with what he's provided for us so far. Would you like to see anyone else come in, guys, before we wrap up? We're nearly done now. Anyone you'd like to see us bring in?
Decent midfielder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I know Kane's meant to be back soon, innit? But again, you don't want to rely on him kind of blowing up and then you're looking at Harness again. I think we actually need someone who can properly run a midfield. And quite as Gaz said, I do agree that we need something a bit stronger down left. It sounds like Ruskin wants out anyway, if you believe the rumours about this week. So, probably look at someone, a little bit in the Toffolo kind of mould of player, that's going to be kind of consistent for us.
Yeah.
I think we need a bastard in midfield, we need a bastard up front, and we need a bastard at centre half. So 3 bastards, please. Just more from a mentality perspective of if we get beat, it's not through us being soft. It's because the team that we're playing has had to play better than us, and that's the thing that I think is just feels like we're missing that ultimate over my dead body type of player. And who that would be, I've got no idea. But somebody, well, I do, and I hate to say this, but because he plays for that lot up the road that we're playing in a couple of weeks, but the captain of them, Power, somebody like him, obviously that's that would never happen, and I don't know how well he would be received. But somebody with his attitude, because he was a horrible player against us up at their place, and that's exactly the type of player that I would want to play for us, because we need to be horrible to play against as well. And we saw what happened to our team that day. We just weakly laid down and died because they had a better attitude than we had that day. They're as good a team as us, if not better. I hate to say this because I can't stand them, but he's got to beat them. If he don't, then I'm proper Grant out.
We've got history with that, haven't we? We signed Duxbury and Sinnott from Bradford and won it, if you remember.
Yeah.
Tough tackling centre half and a tough tackling centre midfield, and Duxbury were nails. So we have got a track record for doing it. I'm not sure that's happening this season, man. But
no, I don't think that happened. But somebody in that ilk, somebody of that level of almost arrogance, but in a "fuck you, you're not beating us" type of thing, and we're going to rub it in your face when we do beat you. I don't have a problem with teams doing that to other teams, because it should be really hard and really difficult to win a game of football, and I just think sometimes we're not that hard to play against, and I want us to be difficult to play against.
There's a lad. Obviously, people are mentioning this Mark Leonard. I'm not certain that he'll drop down. to League One. But there's a lad at Peterborough called I think it's Archie Collins that I mentioned to you guys earlier. I think he'd be good for us in midfield. Covers a couple of bases, but can really run a game. You know, I think he'd be worthwhile. I guess it depends. It depends whether we want to kick on or whether we're just happy with what we've got. You know, Grant seemed to change his mind super quick, didn't he? The other day it was like, I don't foresee any kind of many changes at this minute in time, and then next thing you know, we've 3 out potentially in one day and 2 in. So, yeah.
Said, Castledine, it's a non-story, and then days later he's going. Brilliant. We've still got Marcus McGuane to come back as well. Don't forget, who he might be decent in midfield. Who was it asked? Was it Jed asked about Kane? Where's Herbie Kane? He could be. Swan, I saw him in Bangkok last week. I mean, he could be doing some Thai boxing somewhere, mate. I don't know, but he'll come back eventually, no doubt. But yeah, with too many players who are injury prone, haven't we? And we can't rely on them. The squad itself on paper looks good until you see that half of them are always injured. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. There's work to be done. I still think we're a bit short. We need that leadership, that nastiness, as we've been talking about. I mean, Grant said, we need a bit of nastiness, and I was fuming. I'm angry. I mean, I've seen more anger in the Elmo from Sesame Street. Some fucking do you know what I mean? Like, if that's how angry he gets, no wonder players are out for it. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, Trist, I can't imagine him giving anyone air dry treatment. Can you?
No.
But maybe that's what it needs. We need a bit of a meaner streak. Right, looking ahead, Stockport. Come on, it's pretty much rinse and repeat for Lincoln. Really, good side. Interestingly, I was looking and the top of the away form table, but they're only 15th in the home form table, so they're not doing as well at home. So that it might give us a bit more of a chance. But they play some good football. Norwood always good in the middle of the park running things. Mothersill I really like the look of. Wotton as well. We've got some good players there. Going to be tough for us, isn't it, to go there and get a result? But as you say, Andy, at some point in this season, Lee Grant's going to have to take a team.
We've got to do that.
Top 6 and win.
Because they've beaten us at home already. So, if we're going to get anywhere, we've got to get some sort of parity points-wise with them. So, I'd love to see that Shep's put 1-1, and I'd take that. But he's going to have to start to pull these results out of the fire. We're going to have to demonstrate the quality of the squad, and it has to happen. He can't wait any longer. He's had his learning phase. It's got to start happening now. So I've got my tickets. Hopefully the the Woodhead Pass is not blocked, and we can get over and get underneath that bloody big gazebo that they've got now on the way end and see what that looks like, and we'll get somewhere. But he's running out of opportunities to impact the top of the league, and now he's backed himself into a position where he has to pull results out. And it was bloody awful there last year. What did we lose? Was it we lost, didn't we? Pissed it down with rain.
Was it 2-1?
2-1, something like that, wouldn't it? Yeah. We need to reverse that result. Whether we will or not, I don't know. Because we don't really know who's going to be turning out. Will Castledine be there? Probably not. Will this new lad Humphreys come in? Probably not. I don't think he's going to be match fit, is he? So you're looking at Alves, Redmond to potentially give us some creativity. Like I said, they've got some good players there. So you'd think they'd be favourites at home. But, it's time.
Yeah, they are beatable at home.
It's time.
Yeah, they're crap.
In the 3 games over Christmas, they've lost to Lincoln and Stevenage at home. And I guess that's the point, really, is if we think we're up against Lincoln and we're up against Stevenage, we have to be able to replicate what they do, which is go to Stockport, and win. Their only victory at home over Christmas was against Donny, who are really struggling, and they let 2 in. By the way, Donny still scored 2. So, it's a game we can win. I genuinely think it's a game we can go and win. If he does it right and sets up right, it's a game that can be won. My worry is we're going to get the usual, which is I think we'll probably get in front, we'll get pegged back. He'll shit himself and we'll end up with 1-1 draw. I think I agree with Shep, I think.
Which doesn't help us at all, really. It doesn't help us because, as you said, teams have games in hand on us. We can easily drop out that top 6. We need wins, not draws. We don't want to go Lee Clark-esque, do we? Unbeaten in 20 and 15 draws. We need to start getting some wins now to really push on. I think top 2's dead. I think it's dead and done now. I don't think we're going to make 9 points on Lincoln. We can't string more than 3 wins together, so we're not going to make up 9 points, are we? So it's a case of consolidating in playoffs, trying to go to one of these sides and get a result. And I think it's going to be difficult. Personally, I think we'll lose 2-1. But my New Year's resolution of being more positive hasn't lasted long, unfortunately. But that's what Huddersfield Town does for you, doesn't it? But I've seen no to suggest that we will get a result because we haven't at any of the others, have we? Apart from Lincoln, which was only a draw. So I don't know. I mean, Tris, what do you reckon, mate?
The crap at home, aren't they? The 15th in the home form table, which I think the maybe like a 1.5 points per game, something like that is their average points per game. So they're absolutely there for the taking. It just depends which town turns up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think that automatics is done yet. Just on whoever was saying it about, I think it was you guys saying, the number of games that teams lost last year. They've only lost 5 games so far. You can't tell me that they're not going to lose 4 or 5 games before the end of the season, and we just have to try and capitalise on that, don't we? And I appreciate that that's very big ifs and buts, but at this minute in time, I just don't think that it's quite done. I don't think Lincoln or Bradford City have big enough squads to deal with some kind of injury crisis. The pair of them, neither of them have had kind of loads of players out injured. I think Bradford have maybe had a couple of defenders out injured, but ultimately they haven't lost Painter or Poynton or whatever he's called and Sarcevic. They haven't lost those kind of players. So should they lose those kind of players, that could have a real detrimental impact on them. So I'd be interested to see how they get on. I think the only thing about Lincoln is there didn't seem to be a star player, did there? That was the thing.
No.
They seemed to just be a team.
Yeah.
And it's just whether that team, I don't know who they've got to play, but it's whether that team can sustain. They kind of ran out of steam against us. Whether they can sustain that for 46 games in the season it's a tough ask in it, playing the way that they play for that long in the season. So yeah,
you have got a point, mate. I think my only observation that would be that if one or both of them slip up, I just think there's better equipped sides to take advantage of that than Huddersfield Town at the minute. It's more likely to be a Bolton or a Luton. Luton are coming now out. They're starting to build up a head of steam. They'll bring some bodies in. They've got money to spend. So I think there'll be. I think you're right. The top 3 may well not finish the top 3, but I'm not sure Huddersfield Town are going to be the ones that will power through and nick one of those spaces. I think there's other candidates for that.
Bolton are second favourites out there. Bolton are second favourites to go up. They're something like 6-5 to go up. Which bizarrely, their fans are booing them every game.
Yeah, not happy.
That's like Huddersfield.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope you're right, Tris. And Jed Robinson, I know we're unbeaten in 7, mate, but too many draws. It's draws aren't enough at this point. Not we're losing 8 games. You've got to get wins to catch up. You need to win 4 or 5 in a row to get up into that top 2. And I don't think we've got it, mate. In us. I hope I'm wrong. We shall see. And maybe this January transfer window will change that as well, depending on who we bring in. Right, guys, we'll end it there. Thank you very much. It's been a good episode, that. Thank you very much for coming back and contributing with all your questions and comments, as always. And we will be back after Stockport, I'm sure, to hopefully deliver our verdicts on 3 points and our push up, closing the gap on that top 2. But Gaz, Andy, Tristan, thanks very much. And yeah, we'll see you all soon. As always, up the town.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. And the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.